Hey guys, Sordax here, and today I'm here to bring you another deck profile. Um, this time is a deck profile on Nubatama. Uh, I'm so excited to do this deck profile because I've been waiting for so long for Nubatama to get some really decent support, and they did. They did get some decent support in the technical booster. So yeah, so we're going to do deck profile on that. Sorry if I sound a little bit off. I've been fighting sickness for the past 2 days, and I'm starting to get better. But my voice and all that, if you see me sound like kind of funny, that's the reason why. So yeah, we're gonna get this deck profile started. Oh yeah, and there's also gonna be a lot of butchering of names because Nubatama names. That's why. So for starting Vanguard, I run 2 Stealth Rogue of the Wintry when Kamojigusa. Yeah, I see. Butchering names already. Yeah, so 2. She is probably the new best starter besides Kuroko. So Kuroko got replaced. I'm sorry, Kuroko. But yeah. So she's a Forerunner. So you know what Forerunner does already. Her ability is Generation Break 1. When this unit is placed on rearguard circle, you may pay the cost. If you do, not pay the cost. You may play. Your opponent choose a card from his or her bind zone and put it into the drop zone. If a card was put, you countercharge 1. So she is your countercharger when you force your opponent to drop a card from the bind zone to the drop zone. So it's pretty good. You're countercharging 1, so you're dealing with countercharging now, so you don't have a lot of problems with counterblast problems anymore, and forcing your opponent to drop cards from the drop zone. So then, but you're probably wondering, okay, when she's placed on rear guards, I can see you run 2, but that's only going to be 1 since one is going to be your Forerunner, right? No, she fixed this. She has the ability called Afterimage. That is Nubatama's new keyword. Afterimage is when your opponent puts a bound card from his or her hand, from their bind zone to in his or her hand. If you have 6 or less cards in your hand, you can just return this unit to your hand. So basically, if she's out on your field and let's say they return a card from your hand, if you have 6 or less cards, you can return it to this hand, return the card back to your hand. So then you can call it down when you Generation Break to activate her ability. So she's a really good card. That's why I run 2 of her. And yeah. For grade 3s, we run 4 Stealth Dragon Shiranui. He is the new boss card that came out in the Reckless Rampage, and 1 SP because I have good friends. Thank you. Yeah, so he's your key card. I'm not sure how anybody else plays this deck, but for me, he is not my first grade 3 ride. He'll be my second grade 3 ride, which I'll talk about later. Anyways, his ability is Generation Break 2. When this unit attacks a Vanguard, if you have less cards in your hand than your opponent, this unit gets plus 5k and plus 1 crit to the end of turn. So, this is playing back to like old Nubatama style, about having less cards in your hand and more than your opponent to activate abilities, which is not a bad thing, but it's kind of situational. So yeah, because you need to have less cards in your opponent's hand. So yeah. But his other ability is that you counterblast 1 when during your turn when your G unit strides, you may pay the cost. If you do, choose one of your opponent's rear guards, bind it face up. Then your opponent chooses a card from their hand and discard it, and then at the end of turn the bound card returns to their hand. So another Nubatama thing, binding cards from your opponent's field or hand, and then bringing it back. So then if you call her, you can force that card to be discarded, and then you countercharge 1. So yeah, a lot of combo plays and stuff like that. So yeah, again, he is not my first grade 3 ride. He's my second, but if I only have him in my hand, then I would ride him first. So yeah. Now, this is going to be my first grade 3 ride. I'm run 4 Shura Stealth Dragon Kujikiricongo. He's the break ride. So yeah, I want to actually break ride on top of him in order to drop some cards in from my opponent's hand. So his ability is Limit Break 4. When a Nubatama card rides this card, You choose your Vanguard, it gets plus 10,000 power. Your opponent chooses a card from your hand and discard it. And then your opponent chooses a card from their hand and bind it face down. And then it returns it back to their hand at the end of the turn. So yeah, this is what I want to do. Break Ride. Make them drop 2 cards. 1 to the drop zone, 1 to the bind zone. Then Stride. Do whatever cards I want. Make them drop more cards. Then use this card to drop more cards. So basically just make them drop cards. And it's fun. So yeah. Just basically just screw around with my opponent's hand size, and then just and just like try to finish them off on that turn. Well, I don't really finish them off on the break ride turn. I do cripple them, and they have like limited options to do during that turn. So they're either gonna take a bunch of damage, or drop whatever cards they have left in their hand, and just have to deal with the cards that that were bound in their next turn. Hopefully the cards that they bound were cruddy. Yeah. His second ability is that when this unit attacks, if the number of cards your opponent hand is 3 or less, he becomes a 13k attacker, which is something you're not going to be dealing with much. So yeah. And then the last ability is Lord. We're not going to talk about that. Okay, for grade 2s, I run 4 Stealth Rogue of the Night Fog Miyabi and 1 SP. Again, thank you, friend. She's the Amber clone. So basically, Counterblast 1, GB1. When this unit attacks a Vanguard, if this unit is boosted, you pay the cost. If you do, she becomes a 12k attacker until end of in a battle. Then, if the number of cards in your hand is less than your opponent, you randomly choose a card from their hand and bind it face down, and then it returns to the hand at the end of the turn. So, I like this card because the art looks nice. Yes. Next, she becomes a 12k attacker just by counterblasting 1, and she's boosted. So more than 12k attacker. 12k attacker plus boost. Probably 77k attacker, so it becomes a 19k column. So yeah, then and then if you have less cards in your hand, you're forcing your opponent to bind a card. So making them have less options in their hands to do stuff like guarding and all that. So yeah, I like her. Run 4 because I find her good at 4. So yeah. Key. Next, Four Bears, Tamahagane. When placed on Vanguard or Rearguard Circle, bind a card from your opponent's field, and that's it. This combos off with your starter, so you can get her Afterimage ability off. So yeah, nothing much else to say. Tamahagane is pretty dope. So yeah, finally for grade 2s, I run 3 Stealth Rogue of the Night Fog Agitomaru. He came out in Fire Collection 2015. His ability is on hit, Vanguard or Rearguard Circle. If he hits the Vanguard, you force your opponent to drop a card from their bind zone to the drop zone. So yeah, on hit pressure. So on hit pressure early game. So if they have cards they don't want to lose, they will obviously guard the attack, making them lose guard options in their hand. So yeah, though it's not really good late game because he's only 9k by itself. But I still like him. I think my voice is going. For grade 1s, Stealth Dragon Dreadmaster, 3 of them. The grade 1s, I think the grade 1 space is kind of tight, so I'm kind of lowering my options of Dreadmasters. So his ability is Counterblast 1 when this unit attack hit and is boosted. Well, when he boosts the unit and it hits, doesn't have to be Vanguard or Rearguard. If the number of cards in your hand is less than your opponent's, you force your opponents to drop a card. OG Nubatama stuff, from set 1. He's really good. I'm pretty sure he's really. I think he's really essential. So yeah, 3 Dreadmasters. Next, 2 Tempest of the Stealth Rogue Fukki. I don't really use his ability much. His ability is Counterblast 1, put into Soul. If you have a Nubatama Vanguard and your opponent's cards is 3 or more, there's still a typo in this card. This is 3 or less, but it's 3 or more. Your opponent, you may pay the cost. If you do, you randomly choose a card from your opponent's hand and then bind it. So, more binding, just fun. Maybe you can combo off during the break ride turn if you have Counterblast, which you should. Because you have Unflippers. But yeah. Next, for grade ones, 4 Stride Enablers. Because they're Stride Enablers. And he's watching you. He's always watching you. So yeah. Nothing much else to say. They're Stride, used for Stride. It's a Stride deck, so you're going to have to. Finally, 4G Perfect Guards. Unfortunately, none of them are SP, which is sad because that's the one SP I wanted, but I didn't get it. But yeah, 4G Perfect Guards, because Counterblast is a thing in this deck. You need to unflip. So yeah, nothing much else to say, except I'm sad I don't have the SP. Finally, trigger lineup. 8 crits, because crits are going to crit. 4 of the Shiranui Shiranui crits. And yeah, then 4 other crits. I decided to do split 2-2. Promo crit and dude looks cool crit. I love this card. 4 stand triggers. The stand trigger is dope. You have the Afterimage ability. So again, I already talked about it. So you talked about that. But I used it for his other ability. When this unit is placed on rear guard, generation break 1. If the number of cards in your hand is less than your opponent's, you draw a card. Return this to your deck, shuffle it, then choose one of your other units, and it gets plus 3k. So, fun times. I had Miyabi out in the field. I had at least 2 of these cards in my hand. So what I do, generation break 1, draw, put back, plus 3k. Call 1, generation break 1, draw, put back, plus 3k. Then her ability, another 3k. That's 12, 15, 18, plus boost. A lot of power. It's fun. I like this stand trigger. I never actually thought I'd be using stand in this deck, but yeah, this stand trigger is really good. So yeah, 4 of these stand trigger, and then 4 heals, because heals are going to heal 2 of the old heals because it's cute, 2 of the new heals because it's hot. So yeah, and that's it for the main deck. Oh man, my voice. Sorry guys. Okay, so on to the G Zone. G Zone, I run 3 of Gidatsurakin. He's the on hit, your opponent drops a card on hit. So yeah, nothing much else to say. He's your first stride. So yeah, I've seen one person use Godorikan, because I do run Shura Stealth Dragon. You can use this card. The only reason why I don't use this card because it's Counterblast 2. I don't want to use so much Counterblast because I'm using a lot of Counterblast in this deck with Shiranui and then Miyabi. But yeah, and then there's a whole bunch of other strides that uses a lot of Counterblast too. So I opt not to use this card and use this one because this one's on hit, but it's free. When this one is Counterblast 2, you're guaranteed to make them drop 2 cards. So yeah, it's either or. I decided to use the on hit because it's free. Next, for Rokudo Stealth Rogue at Tago Lord, I'm 1 SP. See, I have mostly SP. I have at least 1 copy of the SP, except for the Perfect Guard. I'm still kind of salty about that. So this guy's ability is Generation Break 2, Counterblast 1, and then Persona Flip. When this unit attacks, when you attack, your opponent, you pay the cost. Your opponent chooses a card from the hand and bind it face down. Then if your opponent's cards in their hand is 3 or less, he gains a crit. So combo it off with the Break Ride, then Shiranui, and then attack swing with Miyabi first because you run stands. And hopefully by the time you get to him, you drop your opponent's cards so much that they won't have enough to guard this attack. Well, you get the crit off, and hopefully win the game. Because I did that. I put my opponent to 0 cards in their hand with a Gata Lord, and beat them. So yeah. Then last card is the GR. Rokudo Stealth Dragon Sukumurakan. I guess that's right. This is your counter to any decks that has big hand size like OTT or Bermuda, because his ability is Generation Break 2, Counterblast 2, then flip any card face up. When this unit is placed on Vanguard Circle, you may pay the cost. If you do, your opponent choose 4 cards from their hand, then bind the rest of the cards that he didn't choose or face down, and then they return to the hand. So basically, if you want to be more fun, Break Ride, then strat onto him. His ability will activate first, then you can activate Shiranui's effect. So yeah, essentially forcing your opponents down to 3 cards. Then you have Miyabi on the field. You're forcing your opponent down to 2. So yeah. Anyways, that is it for this deck profile, guys. I wish I could talk more, but I think you can tell by my voice that it's going now. So if you like what you see, like the video, comment on any suggestions, or subscribe if you like what you see. And you can also follow me on Twitter. Oh man, my throat. Yeah, so I'll leave a link to my Twitter on the description. That's all for this video, guys. Oh man, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.